All right, hi everyone. How are you doing tonight? That's what I thought. It's okay. We can be there. So when you think of exploration, would you think of pollution? Any hands? Anyone? No? No one would think of pollution as exploration? Okay, all right. Well,
did you say inspiration or aspiration?
Exploration. So our comment of you, which is something that we were considering when we came up with our title, which is not listed here, but our title is the exploration of pollution.
The theme that we were given was exploring the natural environment, and our umbrella question was actually, what frontiers of the natural environment inspire exploration? So what we first did, we actually created 4 topic themes that we can branch off and basically direct. We wanted a target question, theme, I'm sorry. From the 4, we actually created a good plan for the last one, effects of pollution, because we figured most people wouldn't think of pollution as an effect of, like, basically the first thing that you think of. So when we actually thought of effect of pollution, we thought, we're gonna come up here, we're gonna present to you, and you're like, oh God, they're gonna talk about freaking water bottles. So we thought out the box, don't worry. We actually created 6 questions to target our research. We didn't want to branch off and get off topic when we were up here. So we have 6 questions that we wanted to focus on during our presentation. The evolution of pollution.
The research that we did, pollution has always been a problem ever since the world got started. But we began to find out more that the evolution of it changed the way that people thought of what we did. The way that people did what we did. We changed our entire society because of the evolution of pollution.
Alright, so through our research, we found there are 9 types of pollution, which that was something new I learned, because I could only think of like 5, most of us could only think about 5, but they're listed up here: air, soil, thermal, noise, personal. That was one we did not think of. Visual, water, radioactive, and light. And so those are the types of pollution, and then, alright, you're right. In 1948, that was kind of the general area of when they coined the term pollution, and it was because of the chemical seepage, human waste, natural occurrences, just like from the environment, and then production, like the Industrial Revolution, huge contributor to pollution, and a lot of that pollution is still in the air and everything, and that was hundreds of years ago.
We also thought of war. War was a big factor. I thought maybe war could be something that, because of we need so much produce, we need to produce so many different things for war. We need weapons, and then of course like the bodies, and that was a lot. Like that personal one got us really good. I was like, what personal? I am not pollution, thank you. Yes.
So there are positive and negative effects of pollution, obviously. I think there are more negative, clearly, than positive, but the positive aspects of pollution are, so light pollution, it increases safety. Less crimes are going to happen in daylight than at nighttime. And in a well-lit area, yeah. And it does create jobs. Unfortunately, the jobs that are being created, they're with companies that make a lot of pollution. Or companies that improve the pollution, but we'll get that later. So the negative ones are global warming, fish and water supply, inhabitable land. If we just destroy the good soil, it's not going to be able to be used for longer than we're going to be here. It causes cancer and birth defects, psychological implications, and it hurts the health and wildlife of animals.
Just to expand on the psychological implications, that had a lot to do with the visual pollution, which is referring to like, visual trash, piles of trash, landfills, things that people see around. And there's actually been a lot of psychological studies that show that people are more likely to commit a crime when they sense that they're in a crime in an area. People are more likely to pollute if they're in a polluted area. And it really does kind of subconsciously affect our behavior in a way that we're not entirely aware of. So that's just to expand on the psychological implications.
So our research did support the idea that there are pollutants throughout the earth that are natural. There are natural oil seepages happening all the time, all around us in California that they talk about. It's not always an oil spill. But what our research supported was the fact that the pollution that we contribute to the planet is overriding that pollution. It's so much worse, and we're just making it worse on top of it.
So when the question is raised, is pollution irreversible? The answer is it is reversible, but within limitations. Because the problem is that some of the things that we've done, the pollution that we have caused, has caused like the extinction of species. And things of that nature you can't bring it back. Like that's not something that we can repair. However, carbon dioxide in our atmosphere has about a half-life of 25 years, which means that, in about 500 years, if we were to completely cease all of carbon dioxide emissions today, there would be about 1/5 of the amount that there is in the atmosphere right now, which is, it's reasonable. It does continue to drop as time goes on. However, the issue of being, we can't actively stop it so much as we can to prevent it, because there are not really any proven methods to remove carbon from the atmosphere. The best answer that we do have is prohibitively expensive, to the degree that if we were to make any kind of significant dent in it, it would cost us between $1 and $400 trillion. And even if the price was to drop significantly, we need to remove hundreds of gigatons of carbon from the atmosphere. And if we were to solidify a single gigaton of carbon into bricks, it would take up as much space as 3,000 Empire State Buildings. So, yeah, the issue is that we can prevent it more so than we can reverse it. But if we do manage to reduce our emissions within enough time, it will eventually return to safe levels.
So basically, reversible with limited reversibility. We actually had a question that was really important to me because I actually didn't know what combating meant when they were talking about it. I'm an art major, so I was like, what? But combating is basically combat. We're fighting against. So we wanted to distinguish what new frontiers were being created to combat against pollution, and we came up with a list. We actually were preventing with clean energy, smart cars, solar panels, landfills, new laws, and off-the-grid living. After really, really careful wording, we were racking our brain. This was our thesis statement. The limited reversibility of man-made pollution has inspired the exploration of new frontiers in our natural environment.
So that was all of our research that we did, that we just went over. So the research, that was all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So there was a lot of time spent on that, and that was the main thing we kept going back to get to this point on what we wanted to talk about, what we wanted to focus on. From our thesis, we made these goals, and we wanted to motivate, educate, and enable our individuals in our community to make educated decisions about the things that they buy that impact our environment. The next step we went to was planning. There are things that are listed on here, but these are the collaborated, or the teams that we're going to create for collaboration. And we're going to create an art planning team to have a visual aid, so we can put it up all year round to start the idea of, hey, what is that? Why is there a bunch of trash? Whatever it is, so whether it be plastic bags or water bottles, what is that? And so to get the buzz out. But we also wanted to do advertisement to involve the community at large. We wanted to do advertisement as far as the newspaper or reaching out to local social media or local radio stations or even radio stations within the college. We also thought of things that we might run into, issues we might run into, fundraising. Our audience, we're going for the whole community, not just our college. So we're putting up this visual aid in our college, but the community isn't seeing it until they come in for the actual seminar that we're going to be hosting. The other step is gathering presenters. The gathering presenters. We're going to motivate individuals by the visual representation. We're going to educate people by bringing in environmental professionals to explain things that we can. And we're going to enable them by actually giving the individuals who come to the seminar a reusable item, whether it be a water bottle or a paper bag or whatever it is that we really want to focus on. We would give them that so that way it would be something they can walk away with. The impacts, we actually, that's messed up the one slide, but the impacts that we can measure, we wanted to do a survey in the very beginning of the presentation and a survey at the end to measure what people would be learning or if it was impactful, or maybe there would be a section on what could we do better. And also, the impact it was going to have on the chapter was to educate the chapter itself on the impacts of pollution. The college was going to learn about the benefits of reusable products. The community was going to be affected by being educated itself in what we buy. And we were going to go out to the region and beyond by taking this idea statewide. Future implications that we were going to have, taking it statewide means going to other colleges, going to your politicians and saying, look at what this impact did. Look at what this little bit of education and giving these people just a water bottle did to educate them and did to empower them. And that's what we did. So.
We want to give a great shout out to our advisor. She was really not helpful because she didn't help us, but she got enough